thank you for joining this webinar. I think one thing that I'm really happy about is a lot of people joining, because a lot of people don't want to talk about menstruation. So given the responses, I'm pretty stoked about it. So let me just jump straight to it. And I just wanted to ask a quick question. What period products do you currently use? So maybe you can type in the comments so we could also understand, perhaps, have you been using menstrual cups, or, you're the traditional period pads or tampon users? It'd be good to know. So just a little bit of background myself as well. So I've been using period pads almost all my life until, of course, menstrual cups. And it's really something that I didn't know or didn't hear about. And it's not an everyday topic that you talk about, and even if you talk about it, everyone be like, it's okay, like let's move on, right? So I don't see much input, but it's okay. So I think what I want to share with you today is, perhaps maybe you've learned about reusable period products from your friends. One could be menstrual cup. In the olden days, we use reusable pads, which is cloth pads, or nowadays, even Uniqlo has it, reusable period underwear. I think that's the trendy thing now, because you just slip it on and it's really easy to go. But one thing I wanted to also delve into is not everyone is ready for menstrual cups. So these are the reusable period products that is great to know of. You can definitely find them online, and as well as zero waste stores. Certain pharmacies have them as well, because I want to also kind of like get you into the idea of knowing actually how much waste do we produce, right? On a monthly basis, or even a yearly basis. So if you could, put it in the chat, guess the average amount of disposable period care product waste that is generated every year globally. Come to think of it, if you think of 1 ton is 1,000 kg, and one period pad is like maybe 50 gram or so. So how many do you use a day, and how many do you use a month, right? You might be surprised. And Nafi Zawati, do you have a answer? Do you want to share? You can unmute yourself. I'll be happy to see what's your answer. It's okay, no worries. So what I can also give you a ballpark number is, actually we produce or generate about 200 tons of waste just from period products. So if you imagine 1 ton is 1,000 kg, and how much is 1,000 kg? Then imagine 200 tons of period products. And if you know, period products, pads typically don't just disintegrate very easily, because they're made out of plastics. So, it'll take 500 to 800 years to dispose one period pad. So imagine how much waste we accumulate, and we just dispose it because it's typically out of sight, out of mind. So you don't really know. And to be honest, for a good maybe 20 years of my life, right, I've been doing this and really not knowing what is actually going on. So just to give you an illustration here, you see each period a person bleeds would use 22 tampons or pads. So if you individually accumulate them all, so it does take up a lot. So maybe reducing by switching partially, maybe not everyone's ready for it, partially or fully to reusables is an option. So I just want to give you a little bit introduction of myself. So I'm the founder of Breeze for You. So Breeze for You, I came out with the brand because it was a breeze for me. So I wanted it to be a breeze for you. And typically what it means is, when we are using menstrual cups, it's not so easy because it's something that's inserted into the vagina, and then also it needs to go through sterilization. So when I started using menstrual cups in 2020, I also did some soul searching. Basically what I did was, I went to an island for 3 months, and then within that 3 months, like I was thinking, how do I sterilize my menstrual cup? Because I was already sold on menstrual cups, but then I didn't know how to sterilize it when I'm in the island. So then came the idea of, just using sterilizing tablets and stuff like that. But one tablet was to 2 liters of water. And if you imagine 2 liters of water for one tiny menstrual cup, it's just also another waste, right? So then came the idea of actually sourcing everything and manufacturing everything in Malaysia. That gave me like a aha moment to make menstrual cups in Malaysia for Malaysians, and also to educate the system really. One thing, like, I'm doing the webinar today. I also go to international schools to talk to kids, because the younger you start using menstrual cups, or the younger you start using reusables, the more you save. It's not only the environment, I think you save a lot of money as well. But of course, mothers, I understand the cautions because of how it may what do you call it? Because it's something that's inserted, right? So you want to maintain the innocence of a lady. So that's the fallback, or the obstacles that I usually will have to talk about. But it's a matter of when a woman is actually comfortable with themselves, and then menstrual cups are ideally the next step to be very eco-friendly. So let me get into it. So I'm sure everyone wants to hear about menstrual cups. So menstrual cups, who are they great for, right? So I'm someone that, because I went to the island, basically I did scuba diving. So people that lead an active lifestyle, you could be a scuba diver, you could be a swimmer, you could go for runs, or you hit to the gym a lot. The menstrual cup is perfect. It is also because if you have sensitive skin, typically if you wear the pads, you will get rashes, right? By your thighs and stuff like that. Or like, you just itch a lot. This is typically because period pads have a lot of bleach. They are bleached to be white. Hence the interaction between blood, sweat, and your skin. That's how you get the rashes. If you are light flow, you have light flow or heavy flow, menstrual cup is still, it will work for you. It's not because it's light, you feel like, oh, it's going to be very dry to insert. Or if you're a heavy flow, it's going to be overflowing all the time and you don't know what to do about it. So it actually works for both light and heavy. I will explain a little bit more later. And it's cost effective. So basically one menstrual cup can last for 5 to 10 years. So you don't really need to think about buying anymore and be like forgetting, oh, I used to walk down this aisle of Kotex, Whisper, Intimate, and then now you don't have to anymore. So you typically then need to know how to use it, right? So you look at this menstrual cup right here and be like, how is it gonna fit? So, and the common worries will be like, will it hurt? Yep. Where will it sit? Will it get lost? Can a virgin use a cup? Can I switch from pads to cup? Because typically people would think, oh, something is inserted, so only tampon users can use it or get used to it. So I'll just share with you a personal story. I went to I'm also like a beach person, but then I didn't use tampons before. So one fine day I went to the beach, I got my period and I had to use a tampon. I was like, oh gosh, this is gonna be daunting. So I put one in and I was walking like a penguin the whole day. And imagine, you're in a beach, having good time, and then I'll be like, walking as a penguin left and right. It was so embarrassing. So I can personally say that I switched from a pad to a cup, and you don't have to worry about not having the downtime with a tampon before. So just to share with you the diagram on the right, it's just a cross section of the female lower section, right? So to understand where it will sit is to also kind of give you an idea how to insert the cup. So here is what people would call it vagina, but actually this is your vulva area, right? Your vulva area is the external part of the vagina. So then this here is the vagina, or you can call it the vagina canal, right? And what you have up here is the cervix. So the cup typically is inserted through into the vagina here, which then creates a suction around the cervix. Hence, when it's creating a suction, blood just basically gets collected into the cup. So it doesn't flow beyond the cup unless, of course, it's overflowing, and then the blood would just basically flow outside of the cup. But what happens is when it's inserted, it creates a suction around the cervix and it stays there. So like, whenever you take a sneeze, when you used to wear pads, let's say, you get that gushing feeling, or when you go to you go for swimming and you get up of the pool, you have that gush feeling. So typically for this now, you don't really get the gush feeling because the blood just basically stays in the cup and then it's collected. So one thing to note is, if you see the canal here, and people would think, oh, can a menstrual cup fit into my vagina? It's quite long or quite wide. So actually a vagina canal is as long as you can see right here. And typically how you want to measure it, because some people think, I don't think it's going to fit. So you can actually measure it yourself. And how you do it is actually just using your index finger. So of course, wash your hands. Take your index finger, insert it into your vagina, and then try to find your cervix. So try to find the cervix nub here. So how does it feel like, right? We don't know, we can't see it. So the cervix actually feels like the tip of your nose. So it feels like a nub. So if you touch your nose, that's typically how the cervix will feel like if you haven't given birth naturally. If you have, it's going to be a little bit flatter, like your lips. So pay a bit of attention to that. So if you haven't given birth naturally, it feels like a nub, like your tip of your nose. Or if you have given birth naturally, it feels like your lips. And how does the vagina canal actually feels? It feels like the inside of your mouth. So it's, moist, smooth, and typically you want to be very gentle because it's so delicate that, maybe your nails, or if you're being rough with it, you can cause microabrasion, or, you just nicked it a little bit and it will bleed a little. So you want to make sure you just be careful about it. So as you reach in, you reach for your cervix, and then once you've found it, you put your thumb on the outside of your vagina, so at your vulva area, and then gently remove your finger. So typically, you can see my finger, right? It's here. This is the height of your cervix. So from the tip of your finger to your thumb. So, and a menstrual cup can typically fit into your vagina canal. So this is a typical cervix height, but some women, everyone's different, right? So some women may have a shorter cervix. So it could be like my thumb is up here and the stem is actually sticking up. So that doesn't mean you can't use menstrual cups. That means you can actually trim your menstrual cup. So the stem here, there is 4 lines, so it typically depends on the menstrual cup that you have. You can trim the stem so that it's shorter and easier for you to wear. And people will ask, so actually, why is the stem so long to begin with, right? So if a woman that has a long or high cervix, if the cup is sitting in very high, you would need to use the stem to pull it down in order for you to remove the cup. So if you can't find your menstrual cup, you'll be panicking as well, right? So typically that's why the cup is designed in the sense that it has a stem for you to search the cup. Everyone good so far? Give me a thumbs up if you can, and I'll move on. So this is a typical cross-section, and you would want to know actually, I guess, how you wear the cup, right? So it's not going to go in straight up like this. You would want to fold it. So how do you fold it? There's many ways to fold. There are beginner's ways and there's also advanced. So beginner, typically you can use the punch down fold. So punch down is the second fold over here. And how it looks like is basically being punched down. So around the rim of the cup, you basically put one finger and then you punch it down to the center of the cup. So you can see the entrance here is quite small. And then if you see this, it's basically look like it's punched down. So what you would do is you hold the middle part of the cup and then it's inserted into the vagina. So this is one very easy beginner way. The other way is also the C-fold, which is basically flattening the cup and then just folding it into half. So this is the C-fold. There are other folds like the triangle fold. So you just flatten the cup and then just fold it down. So it will look like a triangle here. So very, very different ways. And the reason why is because everyone's cervix or angle is a little bit different. So different folds will help that as well. And once you kind of get your fold already, you want to position yourself in the right way so that you're relaxed when you insert the cup. So I like to do it like this lady right here. I sit on the toilet bowl facing the water tank. So typically when you pee, you flush behind you, right? So I would turn around and face the water tank, have your legs, hello, have your hi, am I unmute? Yep. Okay. So you sit down on the toilet bowl, have your legs open wide, and then relax. So typically, like if you look at the picture here, she seems to be squatting, which of course some women don't like to sit. Let's say on public toilets, you may not want to sit, right? So, but I recommend sitting down so that you are relaxed, your pelvic muscles are not tightened, and you can easily insert the cup. So when you insert the cup as you are seated down, you don't insert it upwards actually. So you actually insert it horizontal, meaning towards your spine. So actually it's backwards. So if you want to fold the cup, something like this, right? And then you insert it horizontally towards your spine. So let me just, give me a second. So I have a cross section right here, if you can see. So if I fold the menstrual cup, like a punch down fold, and then you insert it towards your spine. So it goes in like this, okay? And the way to actually make sure the cup opens up is to gently press the folded part of the cup and push it inside the vagina. So it will go in like this, and then it will be pushed open up inside. So what I would recommend is of course meeting someone. You can come to my headquarters if you make an appointment. I'll show you in detail, give you certain tips. But you can also watch videos so that at your own time and space, you can learn how it's inserted in, how to check if it's open, and getting the tips that works well for you. So over here, you can either sit facing the water tank, or you can lift one leg up over the toilet bowl, and it will help open up your vagina area so that you can insert the cup. The angle, just always remember, is to insert it towards your spine. So just don't think about it going upwards, but more angle it towards your spine. Okay. And yeah, so how to ensure the cup is fully open? So like I said, you can, for different folds, there are different methods, but typically what you want to do is after you insert the cup, you want to make sure that it's open by, what I would do is a suction method. So, like you do a suction on the toilet bowl if it's stuck, right? So it's basically pushing the cup in and trying to pull out. So if you're trying to pull out and there's friction, then you're safe to know that the cup is fully open. So things that you want to ensure is that there's no creases or folds. So like if the cup is folded like this when it's inserted, then it's ideally it will still leak because the cup has not created a suction around the cervix. If the cup is sticking out and it's easy enough to slip out, then the cup is not fully open as well. So it may take, not just one time, like it's not one time that you can get it right. But I have heard of some people that get it right the first time, but it might take some practice. So it may be, you want to make sure a lot of time. Let's say if it's a Saturday morning, then you don't have any plans. It's good that, you spend some time discovering yourself as well as trying to find time to insert the cup. You don't want to do it in a rush. It's because once you're anxious or once you're, rushing, your pelvic muscle tends to tense up. And then that's usually how it's very painful, or like, I can't put it in. And then you're like frustrated. And then let's say you drop the cup and then you'll be like, oh gosh, what do I do now? And stuff like that. So try to find a very good time frame and mindset. In a relaxed mindset would be very ideal to start using a menstrual cup. So after it's in, how do you remove it, right? So that's also a very, very big, important thing that people want to know about. So like I said, you want to make sure you find the stem to remove the cup. So when when a suction is created onto the cervix, right, you don't want to pull it because you'll be pulling your cervix. So you want to find a stem, and then you find the base of the cup where there's grip, and you want to basically break the seal of the menstrual cup. So typically when you pinch it, the cup bends and you can release the suction, and you can then take it out from your vagina. So as you take out in the same position like this lady, the cup is just then, the blood is just then pouring into the toilet bowl, and then you give it a rinse with water, and then you can actually insert it in again. So it's very mess-free, I would say. If you're seated in this position and you're relaxed, you remove the cup, you pour it out. It's all in the toilet bowl. As you rinse the menstrual cup with the bidet, you can also just, pour it out into the toilet bowl. There's no mess all around. And then you can just insert it back in. And then you may be wondering me, I don't have to wash it. Like I remove a cup and the blood is dirty, right? So actually, no. So the blood that's inside of you is not dirty. It's because it is generated by your body and it's being excreted. When it's removed, like right out from your vagina, it's not contaminated with, sweat or remnants of your urine and stuff like that. So it's not smelly at all and it's not dirty. So what you just need to do is making sure that you rinse off the blood from the cup before it goes back in, because you want to make sure it doesn't accumulate bacteria past 12 hours. So that's why rinsing is very important to make sure it's all clean without blood. But you don't have to wash it with soap or sterilize again. So one thing I want to also mention about soap, when you want to clean the cup, you can use soap. I would say mild or pH balanced soap, is because typically soap is on an alkali basis and our vaginas are actually on an acidic basis. So when you have a cup that is washed with soap and it's not thoroughly washed and it's inserted back again, you're going to have the pH imbalance, and that's where you have the itchiness, or you have a lot of vagina discharge that cause that, when it's interacting with your period blood. So then that's where you get the uneasiness as well. So I recommend just rinsing with water after removal, and then insert it back in. So just one note also is, before you remove it, wash your hands. I think everyone's pretty good with that now, given we're past COVID. So everyone's like washing hands all day, all night anyway. So that's how to remove a cup. And then we go into the important part about sterilizing the cup. So before you use it the first time, so the cup has been out in the open for the whole month and you haven't used it, you want to make sure you sterilize it before you insert it in. So sterilizing, like baby bottles, you can boil it over down here, or which you can then use a whisk to make sure the cup doesn't touch the base of the pot, which takes about 10 minutes to boil and then about 30 minutes to cool down because you can't insert the cup when it's hot. As well as you can use a microwave to heat up water. But my personal favorite, which I discovered in the island as well, is to use a sterilizing tablet. So a tablet as small as this with a container that I just designed for menstrual cups. So it's something like this. It's kind of cute. You just put one tablet, right? One tablet. And then you just put normal water. So it could be tap water or it could be bottled water if you're traveling. And then you just drop your menstrual cup and it should be sterilized within 5 minutes. So if you see right here, it's a quick illustration of it. And what I like about making it on the go is you can typically collapse this container. You can put your menstrual cup in here, punch it down. See, it's like neat like that. So in the sleeve, you can put a tablet inside like this. And then you can close it up. So this is what you need to take when you travel. You don't need 20, 50 pads anymore. And also you can bring this to the office because you may never know that you'll get your period just suddenly out of the blue. So this is where you can then use menstrual cups as and when it comes. If not, usually women would only use it from home because you have to sterilize it first, right? So this is something that I came up with and I'm super proud of it. I use it all the time. I would sterilize my cup before I use it the first time as well as at the end of my cycle. Reason being is, after you use it, there's all the blood. Let's say you have vagina discharge as well. You want to sterilize it before you store it. So you can store it in the container like this, right? After you sterilize it, you dry it, you store it here, then you just close it and you can wait for the next period to come. Or you can always use another container that you have. So other common worries, how long can I go without leaking? So typically I would give my example. I bleed usually 5 days. The first 2 days are the heavy days, and the heavy days I use about 3 to 4 pads. 3 to 4 pads that I change about in 3 to 4 hours. So for menstrual cups, you can double that up. So meaning if my second day, I would need to change every 3 hours. For pads, I would change my cup every 6 hours. Not change my cup, but remove my cup to pour out the blood after 6 hours. So in the morning, let's say I shower at 9, I empty the cup, right? And then after lunch, I empty the cup. And then after that, before I sleep, I empty the cup again. And I wear it to sleep. So you don't have to worry. When you sleep, you typically don't bleed that much because we don't move that much. So the cup will contain all the blood. If you're worried, you can always wear a reusable pad or a reusable liner that would help give you security. But yeah, the cup, actually, you can double it up. So my first 2 days, I wear and change it in the afternoon once. Third day onwards, I wear it up to 12 hours. So in the morning, and I empty it out at night, and I go to sleep with it, and then in the morning again. So it's really like, I don't remember that I'm on my period. It could be as great as that. How do you handle in the public restrooms? So I would bring you back to this slide where if you're in a public restroom and you don't have a bidet, so this container comes into handy where you can just take water from outside the tap and then put it onto the water tank like this. So as you remove the cup, you can use this to rinse the cup and then insert it back in. And I'm sure you have sterile hand sanitizers and stuff like that. So don't sanitize your hand before you remove the cup. But what you can do after you rinse the cup and put it back in, then you can sanitize your hand. So the reason being is because you don't want to introduce alcohol into your vagina as well. So hand sanitizers you can use after you insert back the cup. All right. And last but not least, I'll go into the sizes. So typically there are 2 sizes for our cups, but mainly in the cups in the market is 2 sizes as well. One is for women that haven't given birth naturally, and one that has. So like how I showed you earlier, how to measure your cervix. So if you you felt it and then you measure it, right? So what you can also do is take the dimensions of this, or sorry, the length, and you can go against the measurements here. So given that there is 18 mm of the stem, you can actually trim this off. So if your cervix is only, 50, you can actually trim out quite a fair bit, at least 10 mm of it. So the small cup can take up to 27 milliliter and the large cup can take up to 33 milliliter. So when I said about how it's great for women with light and heavy flow, when you have heavy flow, it doesn't mean you should take the large cup. Okay, so when you have a heavy flow and you haven't given birth naturally, it's ideal to still take the small cup and track your period flow. So maybe you would change your pads every 2 hours. So then you would try to remove your cup every 4 hours and see how much you collect. And you would be surprised that we don't actually collect that much because we don't bleed that much. 1 whole month, you would bleed about 60 to 80 ml. And if you think about it, 60 to 80 ml of blood for the whole cycle. And 1 cup can take up to 27. So it's actually not many times that you have to change. And if you compare it to period pads, pads take up to 5 to 10 ml. So that's why you feel like you're changing a lot. So just bear in mind, once you start using a cup, try to remove the cup earlier first. So like maybe 4 hours, just to see how much you collect. If it's not much, so like you notice that maybe you've only covered like 1/3 of the cup, you can then extend the number of hours you wear. So just extend it to maybe 5 hours next time, then 6 hours, and then you see how much you collect. So nowadays, I get so like, I wouldn't say lazy, but yes, it's laziness. I wear it longer than what I should, and it leaks a bit, but I'm like, okay, it's okay. Let me just go and clean it now. But I extend my hours because it's so easy now to remove and rinse the cup and insert it back again. Yeah. So that's mainly the sharing today. Feel free to ask any questions. Perhaps I will just answer those that are in the chat first.
Yeah, we got quite a number of questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
so I'll start from the first. Wait.
Maybe I can read it out. So
okay, sure.
First question is it said, how often do we need to change the cup in a day?
So as I shared earlier, if it's on a heavy flow, you would change it a little bit more often. So maybe try 4 hours first. I have friends that change it after 2 hours because she has a really, really heavy flow. So it really depends on yourself. So getting to know yourself is some sort of using the menstrual cup as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So next question is not maybe not so question. Yeah, but I never use tampon. Period cup is same method as tampon?
It's similar as tampons. So tampons, you also insert it towards your spine, but for tampons, you have the applicator, right? So you feel like you're not actually pushing it inside so deep. So for the menstrual cup, what you need to do is your finger is inside your vagina a little bit. So you may feel like, am I going it too deep? So actually it's not that deep. So you're going it in. It's still towards your spine. One thing I want to add is for tampons, because it absorbs liquid or blood, right? You cannot put lubricant on it. Whereas for menstrual cup, the whole idea of a menstrual cup is to collect only. So you can actually put lubricant or water around the menstrual cup if you feel that your vagina vulva area is very dry. So feel free to use a water-based lubricant. So make sure it's water-based.
Okay, thank you so much. So next question is, do we need to wash with boiled water right before we use it?
Yes, you do need to use sterilize it with boiled water before you use it, or you can use the sterilizing method that I shared earlier, where you don't need the boiled water, just a tablet and very little water, which is 150 ml only.
Okay, thank you so much. So the next question is how to storage this cup. And then also, what if we can't take it out from vagina? There are
Okay,
2 questions.
so yeah, so I'll answer the one about taking out from the vagina first. So let's say if your cervix is really high, right? So your cup is sitting very high inside and you can't find the stem. So what I would recommend is for you to relax first, and next thing to do is to do a pooping motion. So use your pelvic muscle to push it down. So with that, let me just bring you to the diagram. Okay, with this diagram, I think I can show you. So when you're doing the pooping motion, you're basically contracting your rectum area, and that helps to move the cup downwards here. So that will help you find the stem. And with the stem, what you do is you wiggle the stem downwards so that your 2 fingers can then now reach the base of the cup to remove the cup. So that's typically how I would do it. I have a particularly high cervix as well. So when I was doing my own research, I had a cup that had a really short stem. I panicked myself. Like, to be honest, I panicked. I didn't know how to remove it because it was so short that I can't find it. And because, you know, inside with your vagina fluid is very slippery. Yeah. So that I had to take a while. I had to go back and lie down and relax myself and then try to take it out. So yeah, that's how you would do it. I would just, you know, squeeze your pelvic muscle like you're doing a pooping motion. That would help. I mean, in terms of storage, you can use a container that you, after you sterilize it, you can just let it dry. So put it upside down so that it dries thoroughly, and then just put the cover on, and you can keep it for the next period cycle. Yeah. If it's not dry, or if your bathroom is very humid, then I don't recommend you covering the whole thing. So just keep it open a little bit, because you're gonna sterilize it before you use it again. So it's okay to have it a little bit dusty, but you don't want it to basically accumulate mold and stuff like that. So if it's humid in your toilet, you want to make sure it's aired.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. So the next question is it normal to feel pain when putting it out?
No, it's not normal. The reason why people will feel the pain is because they're trying to pull out without removing the suction. So as I mentioned, it's gonna be the cup is typically gonna be suction onto your cervix. So you want to basically repress and release the suction so you can come out. So if it's still stuck onto your cervix and you pull it, right, you're pulling your cervix. That's why it's gonna hurt. So I don't recommend pulling. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Then the next question is, what is the main difference between Breeze cup and other cups? Each cup has different shapes. I don't know which one is suitable for me.
Okay, so most cups have the same purpose, really. So the differences are typically, you know, the stem, is it short or longer? If the stem also has a ring to it. The other ones will be if it's firmer or softer. So when I design my cup, I really like the long stem because I have a high cervix. So a stem that is long enough like this makes sense. And if it's too short, if your cervix is too low, you can always cut the stem. So there is always a safety measure. But if you already have a short stem and you can't find a cup, that's like doomsday, you know, that kind of thing. So in terms of the firmness, I personally didn't like the very firm cup. Is because when it's a firm cup, if you don't look at the screen, it presses against your bladder. So you may feel like you want to pee more often because it's still a cup that is, typically not in your vaginal canal. So it does press against your organs, but it's soft enough that if your muscles are really strong, the cup actually sits like this. It doesn't sit round, but it sits oval in your vagina. But if it's too soft, then it doesn't open up well in your vagina, and then it leaks. So when I created mine, I of course did a lot of R&D to make sure that it's suitable for most women.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, then the next question is, does it not cause irritations or bacterial infection if we use for a long time?
So that's why the cups are usually only to be worn and changed within 12 hours. So after 12 hours, before 12 hours, you want to remove the cup, give it, empty out the blood, give it a thorough rinse, and then insert it back again. So the part where, for tampons, you have this syndrome called TSS, toxic shock syndrome. It is basically an accumulation of bacteria and also an abrasion around your vagina area that causes this to cause. This one is like really serious because you wear it too long and it's not during your normal period cycle. So let's say if you insert a very absorbent tampon on your last day, it's going to absorb all your vaginal fluid and everything also. So when you remove it, there's microabrasion, that's bleeding. That's where the TSS will come into play. Whereas for a menstrual cup, it's made up of medical grade silicone. So you don't have to worry that, it's going to give out any toxins or anything. The main purpose is actually just to collect blood. And because it's not going to absorb anything, your vaginal fluid is still there. So it's going to be around the menstrual cup. So if you wear it, let's say for me, I typically like to wear it before my first day so that I don't get the unawareness of the period just suddenly coming. So I wear it before my period comes. So typically then it will have a lot of vaginal fluid or vaginal discharge. So the cup will have like a brown or yellowish liquid around the cup when you remove it. So that's not something to be worried about. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you so much. The last question, I think someone delete, but I also want to ask, like, is it suitable for virgin? I think it's
Yes.
quite interesting. Yeah, everyone curious about this.
Yep. So virginity is a really a concept that is it's culture, right? So it is because it said the hymen here, if it's broken, then you are considered non-virgin. But typically, if you're an active person, the hymen is also non-existent. So then do you consider all active women, non-virgins, even though they haven't gone through sexual intercourse? So I think for virgins, it's not about being a virgin, but it's about being comfortable with yourself. So then the next question would be like, how young can you start wearing a menstrual cup? So I would say when a girl gets their first period around 10 years old or so, even 14 years old, I would say it's might be a little bit early, but if they're very self-aware, then I can recommend it. So I had two daughters and a mom came by earlier this week to learn about menstrual cup, which is great because the mom wanted to introduce to her daughters. And I did tell her, like, because the 14-year-old was a bit dumbfounded when she listened to a lot of things. I said, only when you're comfortable. So how to start the process is to actually feel yourself first, like the thing that I mentioned about measuring your cervix and stuff like that. So about touching, understanding which holes are where, how does it feel like when it's inside, getting to know yourself better, then I think ideally that's when it's the right time to start using menstrual cup.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that's the last questions. So yeah, if you have any questions, please message me so I can ask questions to Miss Alyssa. So thank you so much for the very informative sharing sessions. So I have a few more announcements. So I would like to share the screen.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm so sorry in the beginning, my microphone was somehow not working. So I think no one could hear what I was talking. Sorry about this. So thank you so much, Miss Alyssa. She's founder and CEO of Breeze. Yes. So the next announcement is in March, we are going to organize International Women's Day event. Actually, 8th of March is the International Women's Day. And then 18th and 19th of March, we are going to organize the event at the Mori Kohi in KL. So if you live in KL, Selangor, around here, please come and join. It's a free entry. So yes, so I think everyone is waiting for this tonight promotion announcements. So Breeze, thank you so much. They offering us 10% off all the product on our Lumirous platform. So you can scan this QR code or you can type Lumirous and you can visit our website and then you can purchase the Breeze, the menstrual cups. And then everything is 10% off today until 19th of February. 19th of February is a Sunday. So this almost 4 days, yeah, you can get everything for 10% off. Thank you so much for offering this. So last but not least, please help us to answer the survey. And we would love to hear your opinion and feedback about our webinar. And also not in February, in March, we can send you the tonight webinar recap to you. Yeah, for those who answer the survey. So please help us to answer this. And then, yes, let us know your opinion. Okay, so this is the end of the webinar tonight. So thank you so much, Miss Alyssa, for very informative, session. I think everyone, they learn a lot. And then the thing that I like is that you offer the fertilizer and then also the the how do you say that, the storage container. So it's very, everyone, it's very easy to use. Usually, like sometimes usually we need to boil, with the hot water, but it's a bit troublesome. But for this Breeze, it comes with the fertilizer. So yeah, it's very useful.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. And if you are interested to purchase, please visit our website. Okay.
Yeah, actually one thing. Oh, sorry. One thing I wanted to mention also is that everything is made in Malaysia. And we support local artisans and stuff, local artisans as well as the disabled community. So if you see right here, this is like a batik bag that we contain all of the menstrual container, and then your cup as well as the tablet. So the tablet comes in something like this. So typically you would receive the starter kit, something like this, in a reusable bag that you can always use. So these are hand painted by a Terengganu artisan, Encik Nizam. So you'll get a story card as well, and sewn by the disabled community. So you're not only saving the earth by reducing waste, you're saving money as well as you're providing support to these communities as well. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's very nice of you to have such a collaboration support. Okay, thank you so much everyone for joining tonight's webinar. I hope to see you again in next webinar. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you everyone. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.